Hi everybody, I am SRGSFX and I'm going to teach you how to do one of my very favorite horror creatures, the zombie. So a zombie is really cool to do and it's actually one of my favorite makeups to do because there's so many different versions of the creature. All through films and books and comics and everything else, all of them are so different. They have different abilities, they're infected for different reasons that it's something that you can really take and run with and really make it your own. So the base of my look is going to be latex, so you really want to make sure that you're going to protect your skin or your model's skin. Latex can be harsh. A lot of people have allergies to it, so you maybe want to do a patch test first to make sure that you or your model isn't going to be allergic, and you also really want to make sure that you're going to protect your facial hair. Everybody likes to get brow wax, but nobody likes it from ripping off a latex mask. So a great way to protect your eyebrows, to protect any other facial hair that you might have going on, is just a straight petroleum jelly. Make sure you get a good layer going on, and that's really going to protect the latex from adhering to the hair itself and then ripping out in the removal process. Cool. So I have on a nice layer on both brows. I actually put some on throughout my hairline, and then right before I started this makeup tutorial, I actually went ahead and shaved my whole face so that nothing would stick to any kind of beard or mustache hair, because I would imagine that would be pretty terrible. So now that our skin is prepped, everything is protected, we're going to go ahead and work on our complexion. When you think about building the complexion of a creature such as the zombie, you really want to start thinking about bringing out everything that is going to be wrong with your skin. Thinking about enhancing the dark circles, thinking about enhancing lines, wrinkles, blemishes, really anything that could be classified as gross. You want it to really bring forth. That's why with a look like this, I'm not really worried about primers, concealers, powders, any kind of complexion perfection based product, because I would only have to turn that against itself and make it more of a gross, decrepit looking feel. So really just work off what you have. So to start, I'm going to take a little bit of a purple cream eyeliner and I'm going to start working that under my eyes. Just making sure you're blending nice and even, and just kind of following where your natural under eye orbital is going to be. So you can even see just that little bit, how much of a change that is. When working with a cream-based product, I love to use fingers only because the heat of your finger is actually going to help the product warm and work into your skin a little bit deeper and a little bit cleaner. So rather than trying to sit there and blend in a product with a cold brush that's meant to be kind of warmed and soaked into the skin, use a finger, it's so much easier. So next up, I'm going to take a yellow cream liner and I'm going to do basically the same process and just start to work that in and around the eye orbital and make sure you're nice and blending out. You always want to blend. So now that you're kind of blended out with your purple and yellow, you really want to focus on adding in the depth. So I'm going to take a little bit of a red cream eyeliner, and I'm going to go just right around the edges, up into the lid, and again, blending out. So now I'm going to take that same purple liner that I started with and really get in there and start blending. Just really focusing on hollowing out that eye orbital with that purple. So now that the base focus of the creams around my eyes are done, I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my latex. So when you're putting on your latex, you want to have a kind of roadmap in your head of what you're going to do. You can put it everywhere, but with latex you really want to layer, and you can layer it on itself, or you can layer it with cotton or oatmeal or rice or whatever you want to get a really gross texture out of it. But if you're going to start putting down your latex and you don't have that roadmap in your head, it can tend to go everywhere and you're just going to look muddy and you're not going to get the depth and the dimension that you're looking for. So starting off, I'm just going to work in sheer layers and start slowly building off of it. So I've got a good base layer going on right now, and as you can see, it's already starting to rip here, and that's great. That's kind of what you want to look for. As latex starts drying, it's going to start getting tacky, and it's going to start pulling against itself. The sponge that I'm using actually is going to have the latex on it as well, so it's going to kind of create that tension, and it's going to start to rip. So really and truly, you can do as many layers as you're looking for, whatever is going to help you get that effect. So what I'm really going to focus on is getting in a couple solid heavy layers where I know I'm going to create some wounds. So we're going to create some focus on the forehead here. I almost always like to do a forehead wound. There's lots of space there. It's always really cool looking, and you can always do something really interesting. So I'm going to pack down the latex there, and then I'm going to focus on, let's do a nose wound.
Let's do something over here. And then let's do a little bit of symmetry here.
So I went ahead and focused a lot more on my brow area. The greatest trick in horror and special effects makeup is getting rid of the brows, is breaking up the normal everyday shape of the human face. And eyebrows are such a trend, and they're such, humanity. They frame the face. By getting rid of them and kind of destroying that shape, you're going to automatically step it up to another level of weird. So I'm just doing a couple finishing touches on a couple areas that I think need to be built up a little bit more, and then we're going to dry it, and we're going to have some fun. Oh, hello! So now that I've got this on and pretty much built up to where I want it, you can sit and wait and let it kind of air dry. Or if you're in a hurry or if you've got a lot on, a great tip to actually get it to dry pretty quickly is just the common hair dryer. So after you're done feeling your full fantasy, we want to set this with some powder. A great one is just any kind of translucent powder. Is going to set it, it's going to help matte it down. You could use any kind of colored powder if it's going to suit your skin tone a little bit better, but my favorite is translucent. So find your favorite fluffy brush and just go in. So at this point, your skin is going to start to feel very tight, and it's going to feel like almost you left a charcoal mask on for too long. That's good, that's what you want to have. So now we're going to start breaking up that tension because everything is so sucked in. We're going to start ripping our latex and creating our wounds. Okay, so I've got the major wounds where I mostly want them, and try and rip up the edges as much as you can. You don't just want like an air bubble under your skin, almost like you got a blister. Think about ripping, make it natural, make it as organic as possible. So now that the major ones are on there, what I'm going to do is just go through and just start to kind of wrinkle up but not rip the rest of the latex. So you definitely want to be careful during that process of pulling and distressing latex, because if your latex isn't built up enough, you can actually pinch yourself. Now that everything is on and it's ripped and it's distressed, take a second to step back and really look at it, because you want to make sure that everything flows, that everything's nice and as natural as it is supposed to be. For instance, this little guy here, I wouldn't leave because it's a ball, it doesn't read organic, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to painting. Painting is what's really going to bring your design and your sculpting to life. Or, back to life. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to add in actually a black cream paint into the center of every wound to give it that nice deep depth. With the black laid down, it's already starting to create that dimension and that depth, and that's really what you want to bring a character to life. So now I'm going to go through with every little kind of crease and wrinkle, and I'm going to add a little bit of black to add a couple drop shadows. So I've got the black in all of the shadow places. Now I'm going to add in a deep red. So we have our wound painted in and colored. Now we have to do something about the latex around it. If we left it just like that, it's going to keep that kind of almost luminescent white, and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a yellow cream eyeliner and I'm going to fill that in and start to blend it. We've got a yellow on and we're starting to look pretty gross, but we're not done yet. Next, I'm going to use my stippling sponge and I'm going to start putting in some greens in some key areas to give a little more contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more contrast to my eyes. I'm actually going to use that same deep maroon. I'm going to use it in the waterline to get that nice irritated, freshly dead look. And then I'm going to start blending it out and add a little more violet. So I've got that on. Now I'm going to take a nice soft brown eyeshadow and I'm going to start to blend into my crease. Now I'm going to add a lot darker of a brown to really make it pop. Now that I've got my eyes pretty well contoured out, I'm going to go ahead and contour my face and really pop those cheekbones. So we're almost there. We're going to add in a few finishing touches to really make it come to life. Heh. I'm just going to take a creamy brown eyeshadow and just start to kind of layer it. So this is going to be your basic look. From here, you can throw on some blood, you can throw on some dirt, some grass, some sticks, leaves, whatever to really make up the final touches that's unique to you. I'm going to throw on some blood, throw on some crazy hair, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so this is pretty much the final look. Like I said, you can add in any finishing touches that you want. I added in some blood, I added in some teeth rot, crazied up my hair, really anything to really make your character come to life. You could even add in colored contacts or the whole sclera lenses if you wanted to. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you later.